everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to go over 6 books. 3 of them are 2 stars that I rated, 3 of them are 1 star. They are some pretty either hyped books or loved books by the whole book community, but they just didn't set with me, and that's okay because as readers we are, very diverse in what we like. And these books, not saying that any of them are terrible, because they do have good qualities to them. They have great plot lines and storylines. I can see why people love them, but they just didn't set with me. And maybe if you have been watching my channel and you like a lot of the same books that I read or that I post on here, these books may not be books that you like, or you may end up loving them even though you like some of the same books that I do, and just be wondering why I end up not liking them. So I'm just going to kind of go over some key points that I didn't really like about these books. But before we get into the video, make sure that you like this video and make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content. I have been trying to upload every Saturday and Tuesday. Some weeks I may only get 1 video out. I was sick earlier in this month. I had COVID the first week of March, and so it put me back a couple weeks on videos because I had no energy to do anything. But you can always hit me up over on my Instagram, which is also linked in the description below, if you ever want to talk books with me, buddy read with me, give me suggestions, or anything like that. So let's get into these books that I didn't really necessarily like, but everybody in the book community seems to devour them and talk about them all the time. So the first 3 books that I'm going to talk about are 2-star ratings, because I'm going to leave my 1 stars for after this. The first book that I want to talk about that I gave 2 stars to was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the Dreamland Billionaires series. This is book 1 in that series. I did not read book 2 or book 3. Book 1 follows our 2 main characters. I think it's Rowan, and I don't remember what the girl's name is. I apologize if you followed my channel at any point. You know I'm terrible with names. But it follows where Rowan and his 2 brothers are given in this will of his grandfathers who built Dreamland, that they have these different tasks that they have to do or they don't get their inheritance. And their portion of the inheritance goes to their father, which none of the brothers wants to happen. So Rowan's stipulations are he has to make Dreamland like better for the tourist type of thing, where he kind of revamps and restructures it, and kind of brings in a new love for Dreamland, bring in more tourism, which then brings in more money and makes it successful. So Rowan doesn't quite know what he is going to do with it, so he sets out and he asks a group of people, what are their opinions? What do they think needs to change? He has this, whole thing with a survey that you're supposed to email. Now, in comes our female main character. She gets drunk one night with her friend. She's, typing out all these like harsh things that she thinks needs to be changed with Dreamland. She had no intentions of submitting it. But what happens whenever you're drunk? You make stupid choices. So she ends up submitting it. Rowan reads it. He makes her the head of this department or working with him to make sure that Dreamland becomes successful. And as they're going along, their banter is insufferable for me, because Rowan is the type of guy that just sits there and he's mopey and broody and has like absolutely no personality to him at all. And then you have our female main character who is so fluffy and bubbly and has so much characteristic to herself that she's so innocent and sweet and pure. And every time she's trying to get close to Rowan, or Rowan's walls come down or anything like that, he just turns back into a brood. And I just couldn't handle the back and forth between them. I didn't feel like the romance was even there at all. I did not feel the sexual tension. I didn't feel the sparks fly between the characters. I feel like it was a very forced, romance. And then you have like the third act breakup type of situation that happens where something happens after things are going good with them, and now they're all reset back to nothing, and then things are just wrapped up very quickly. So the story and the pacing in this book did not feel very fluid, didn't feel like it was very fleshed out. I don't feel like the characters were very fleshed out as well, and I don't feel like that romance was very believable. So I just could not stay in this book. So I apologize to everyone that likes the fine print or the Dreamland Billionaires series. I just could not get into it. So the next book that I am going to talk about is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Now, Stephen King in general is very loved by all horror fans who love reading or watching horror. They think that he is the master and the king. And I will say, as I was reading Salem's Lot, I can see where people are, so in love with him, with his writing style and world building techniques and, character personalities that he has. But Salem's Lot was such a drag. I don't know if I picked the wrong book. I don't know if there was a better Stephen King book that I should try for horror. But this book made absolutely no sense to me. You have the main character. He is a writer. He goes to this small town. He wanted to rent this mansion, that has been abandoned for so long. And as he's there, he finds out that somebody had bought it right before he gets there. So he stays like kind of in this inn/bar type of thing, like a bed and breakfast, and he's typing everything out. Meets a girl, ends up kind of falling for this girl, having a romantic relationship with her. And, he keeps hearing stories, from different characters that you meet throughout the town. And the mysterious people that bought the mansion is opening up a store in town, and no one knows who they are. It's two guys, and they only come out at night, and different things are happening, and people are dying everywhere and then coming back to life. And it's just a mix of chaos. And then on top of that, the one thing that really turned me off about this book is, trigger warning, there is a character who beats her baby. Like, baby who can't talk, is in a crib, is crying because either they're hungry or they want attention or whatever babies cry about, which is a natural thing. She beats her child. I did not know that going into this, and it happened more than once. And I just couldn't handle it. As soon as I read that, I was done. I was just like, I had no idea this was happening. It turned me off from it. Definitely should have been a trigger warning that I would have found somewhere. Also, on top of this, the plot makes no sense. Nothing is tying any of these characters together other than they're in this small town. People are dying and coming back to life. All of a sudden, the main character thinks that he's going to solve it all. And then at the end, more and more people in the town are becoming, vampires or whatever. And at this point, there's no one left in the town. So why are you even caring about what's going on? There's nobody left. There's you, and two other people. And why don't you just leave? Just leave it alone. Let someone else deal with it. Why are you, there's nobody to save but you three that think you have this grand plan. So the ending to this book was absolutely terrible. It's like they're like, we're going to save the town. We're going to come up with a great plan, and people are dying out of this committee that's going to, try to save the town. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh, we can't save the town. So they just flee. That was it. I couldn't handle this book. I think it was just absolute trash. I'm sorry. I know people love Stephen King. I know people just devour his books and think that he's the master at horror. But Salem's Lot is absolutely terrible. In my opinion. Terrible. So the last 2-star book that I am going to talk about is The Diviners by Libba Bray. So this is book 1 in another series. I think there's 4 books in it, or there's at least 3, possibly 4 books. Anyway, I don't even remember much about this book because I actually I DNF'd it originally, and then I picked it up on Audible thinking that I could get through it that way, just kind of on the side. I wasn't even going to put it back on my TBR last year because I was just like, even if I don't finish this, it's still a DNF. And then I ended up finishing it, and I gave it 2 stars. It did get better as the story progressed, but it didn't get better enough for me to want to continue. There was a lot of things I didn't understand about this world because you're in like 1920s, 30s New York type of era, and I just didn't feel like you were in that type of era. Like the description and the story structure and the way people talked and different things, I just didn't feel like I was in that time in New York, which kind of set me off a little bit because I was like, isn't that the whole premise of this story? Because you're in this time and away from technology, and like you're trying to make it that, but it's not that. And, you know, at this point, I'm so lost with the Diviners. I don't know if it's just something that I was never going to connect to, or if the audio wasn't the way to go, or if I should have powered through the print. Definitely let me know below if I did it wrong and DNF'd the physical copy and then picked it up on Audible, and that was probably just the worst decision I made. I don't know. It could have been the way that the voice narrators were narrating the story. It could have been just the tone or something. I don't know what it was. I just could not get into this story. I don't think there was anything terrible about this book, other than the fact that I don't feel like I was in the time frame that the author was suggesting you were in. So maybe, you know, I'll pick it up in a book format and try it again. I mean, after DNFing it, you know, physically and then giving it a 2-star on audio, I just don't know if I should give it another try. Definitely let me know below if you have read The Diviners or the whole series of The Diviners, and if you think I really should give it another try, let me know below. I'm definitely willing to do that. Just let me know the best way to consume this that I'm actually going to like it. Now, let's get into the second part of this video that you guys are absolutely going to hate. You guys are going to hate this, the 3 books that are on here. So please do not shred me in the comments. These are just my opinions, the way that I read and the way that I consume books. So if any of these books are your beloved, please just know this is just one opinion. You can love the book. I do not judge you for it, but these are just my opinions. So here are the 3 1-stars that I picked out to talk about because they are the most talked about series out there that is on my 1-star list, and so I felt like they deserved to be on here. So book 1 in my 1-star list is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read this book back in August or September, and I loved the story, the way that it was structured. I really liked how it was in sections of her husbands, and then like she talked about, you know, their life and all this stuff. What I didn't like is the fact that this book, for one, was not marketed, I guess is the word, as an LGBTQ plus book, because I did not know that going into this, that there was going to be LGBTQ plus representation. Now, going into that, there is nothing wrong with that. I support the LGBTQ plus community. I absolutely have some friends that are part of that community, and I love them and I love everybody. So that has nothing to do with it. What it does have to do with is I was going in because it was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So I thought this was going to be a romance between a female and a male. Did not realize that the whole overarching plot was going to be a romance between the female and her friend. I had no idea about that. So maybe market it that way, maybe have that as one of the subgenres, you know, so then people who possibly don't read those type of books would know going in. But I didn't mind it. I warmed up to the relationship after I realized, oh, this is where, the author's going. And I loved their characters. I loved their, relationship in a way. I didn't like the fact that it was, you had the main female character who, kept marrying these guys for specific reasons to get ahead in Hollywood at the time. But then the female would get upset because of some of the decisions she would make. Now, I understand in a relationship, you need to have a talk with your partner about different decisions you're going to make, different avenues you're going to go, and you both need to come to that together. So I understand the whole reason why the author did it the way they did, because there was conflict in a relationship. No matter who you are, you need to talk to your partner about, big decisions that are going to affect both of your lives 100%. But I will say there was a little light at the end of the tunnel for me, because there was one husband who was her friend the whole time, and they got together and they had a child together. And so, like, her and her girlfriend, and then, the guy that she was married to and his boyfriend and her girlfriend were married together. So they all four had this, like, family type of thing where the two guys were together and the two girls were together. But back in those times, you could not be married to the same sex. So they married each other and then, lived separately. The guys lived together, the girls lived together. It was actually really good. And I liked that she had a baby with her husband, and then they all four just, like, parented this child. And I really, really loved that aspect. So in the light of all of the things that I felt was wrong with the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I love how that was portrayed. And I love how all four of them come together and parent the child together. And I thought that was wonderful. But just everything else was terrible. I hated, how Evelyn would just make all of these choices. I hate that she would marry these men, just to get ahead in Hollywood. I really hated the fact, I hated everything about the book, other than the fact that they all came together to parent this child. Other than that, the book was terrible. I hated it. I hated every second of it. There were little things that I did love. I cried at the end, at the very end, and also the end whenever they were in Spain, I believe. So I won't ruin that for anybody. And I did cry about the wreck. And I did cry whenever I found out about who was killed in the wreck, and how everybody is kind of connected in a way. So I did like those aspects, but just there was so much about this book I hated, guys. I'm sorry. I know it's a loved book. I just could not love it. So the next book on the list for 1 stars is Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. Now, I don't even know why this book exists. I'm going to be honest with you, because I was told the series was amazing, and that it was very smutty and spicy, and that's what I was wanting at the time. And, everything that I was told by people or reviews that I read, or, anything like that, I was like, okay, I might actually like this book. No, not at all. The fact that the female main character is raped while she is asleep, and she thinks it's okay because it feels good. The fact that there's all these people stuck in this spaceship, and she's the only one that has to go out and brave the cold. And then, she's literally with this alien for only like a day or two, and she's like, I'm so in love with him. What? What are you talking about? And then on top of that, like, the whole, like, way that the book was written, like, I was just like, is this like meant to be YA but smutty YA? Because I feel like the way that the book was written, the context of everything, other than the smut, was just terrible. I mean, everything was too convenient. It's like, oh, we're going to go into another cave. Oh, look, there's this old like spaceship type thing in here that's gonna help me understand what you're saying. And then, oh, we're trudging along. Oh, look, my friends need to be rescued. Just magically, we are here. Like, just everything just came together way too easy. There was absolutely no like conflict. There was no anything. Like, I mean, nothing. There was nothing. I feel like this book is literally just for those readers that want smut and absolutely no plot, absolutely no story, absolutely no character development, and even no character personality. Like, you just want sex with aliens. That's all you want. And I just could not do it. I got to the end of it and I was like, thank goodness. Because I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't like to DNF books, clearly from the Diviners. Picked it up on audio, tried to finish it. It was terrible. I don't know what anybody sees in this. If you've read Ice Planet Barbarians, if you like it, definitely leave me a comment below and please tell me why you like it. Other than the smut. Other than the smut, what did you like about this book? Please help me understand. Okay, so on to my sixth and final book that you guys are going to shred me apart for. And I already know it, and I'm so sorry. Like I said, please remember this is just one person's opinion. You can love this book series. You can love it till your heart's content. It's just trash for me. And that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now, hear me out before you shred me. I can see why people love this book. I truly can. I'm a big fantasy romance reader, a big paranormal romance reader. I can see where everybody loves it. I actually enjoyed the first book. I'll be very honest with you. I enjoyed the first book. I thought it was good. I felt like, for me personally, there was a part, in the middle that had like no progression in the story. There really wasn't anything happening. I felt like it was just a lot of filler, and I was just reading just complete nonsense that didn't have anything to do with anything. And up until about the 60% mark, that's how I felt. Now, granted, it was a lot of info dumpy. It was a lot of just like kind of stagnant, conversations where you're trying to get to know Poppy and you're trying to get to know like why Hawk is on her, bodyguard team and all these different things. Like, I get it. I do. But after book one, like, I felt like book one could have been a 2-star for me. But upon reflection, I made it a 1-star because even though I kind of had somewhat of a good time like after the 60% mark, I hated where she ended it with the cliffhanger. I do not enjoy Poppy and Hawk's relationship at all. Like, I do not feel the connection with them at all. I feel like it's forced. So upon reflection, I realized this book is a 1-star for me because everything is forced. This whole thing, like even trying to listen to it on audio, is just horrid. Horrid. The narrator's voice just, it irks me. I'm like, why are you sounding like a 50-year-old raspy woman? Like, you're not sounding like Poppy, who is supposed to be like 18 or 19 years old. And you're not sounding like that. You sound raspy. You sound old. You sound like nothing like Poppy. So the audiobook is not the way to consume this. And then if you read it, if you don't like it, please just stop yourself. Don't force yourself to read books 2, 3, and 4 like I did. Don't do it. Because you're going to hate your life. Because you're going to read it and you're going to get at the end of the chapter and you're going to be like, what just happened? I didn't even remember anything. So just From Blood and Ash series in a whole, it's a 1-star. I have no intentions of picking up any books after book 4. No intentions at all. I was going to try to finish book 5 and book 6, I think, were the last 2 books in the series. I can't do it. I can't force myself. It's gotten horrible. I don't understand why all of a sudden, in book 2, Poppy's like so in love with Hawk. I don't understand the story. I don't understand the world around him. I don't understand what the whole point is of this whole story. I don't understand. And I feel like Jennifer L. Armentrout is taking a book series that she could have made as a duet or maybe even a trilogy, and she's expanding it to 6 books. For why? Because you had book 1 that established who Poppy was in the world around her. Great. Take books 2, 3, and 4 and put them together, because literally you're doing nothing in those books except having literally a threesome. That's it. I just can't handle it. I don't like her writing. I don't like her world building. I don't like her character development. I feel like she puts in an 800-page book, 150 pages of it is plot and story and the meat of the bones, and then the other 650 pages is literal filler. That's all it is just filler. And don't get me wrong, Sarah J. Maas, who I love, she's guilty too. She does filler. But at least her filler is enjoyable for me. Whether I consume it physically or audio, it's enjoyable. Jennifer L. Armentrout just isn't an author for me. I just couldn't stand it. I don't understand. I just don't understand the plot. Like, can somebody please in the comment, section, tell me what the whole plot is? Like, I understand they're trying to overthrow the queen. I understand they're trying to stop, them from having all of this power. And I understand that she's the queen of Atlantia and she's going up against this queen. And I understand that thing. But can you tell me what this whole plot is? Because I don't understand why this hasn't been wrapped up. So maybe if I understood it better, I might enjoy it possibly as a 2-star. Possibly would read book 5, maybe even the spinoff, The Shadow and Light, about Nikolai or whatever his name is, Niktos. Maybe I'll do that. But for right now, I just can't get into it, guys, and I'm sorry. I wanted to love this series because everybody was like, if you love Sarah J. Maas, you're gonna love From Blood and Ash. And I wanted to seriously love it. I read all 4 books. I read the end of the War of Two Queens. Like, I gave it as literal much shot as I could, guys. So somebody help me here. Maybe I'll like it. Go to my Instagram. Maybe, talk with me on there about it. Leave a comment below. But that's my rant today, guys. I'm sorry if any of these books are your most loved. I am so glad you loved them. I really, truly am, because there is nothing better than finding a book that you love and you hold on to. So definitely leave me a comment below. Are any of these your loved books? Do you agree with anything that I said? Like I said, go over to my Instagram. Let's talk there. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to have better videos coming out that you won't have to worry about me shredding your favorite books. But until next time, everybody, I hope you have a great day. Bye.